We are Any Given Sunday. Welcome to week 10,
Yeah.
week 10, week
Mhm.
10 of the NFL season. And I'm Tyler. This is Coop. And the first game that we've got kind of marked for this weekend is Ravens at Vikings. I think that the Ravens with Lamar Jackson are obviously a significantly better team, but the Vikings last week had a really great game against Detroit. J.J. McCarthy really showed his stuff, and I think that this is probably going to be the best game of the week.
I'm inclined to agree. I think that our other two circled games could very easily contend for game of the week. But I think that Ravens Vikings is going to be remarkably interesting. Um, I also I believe that the Ravens defense has undergone a transformation the way it did last year, around the same time even. Um, the Ravens defense is much better through the first 2 weeks off the bye than it was before the bye. And yes, they played Miami, and I forget who they played before that, but it was no.
Actually, it was it was the Tyler Huntley game.
Yeah, Chicago, which actually is a pretty solid defense beats offense. But the Ravens, I think, are a much improved team overall. Now they have Lamar Jackson back. Their defense seems to be clicking a lot more than it was early in the season. Unfortunately, the Vikings also seem to be clicking at the right time with full health. And it's a Vikings home game. I've got the Vikings taking this one 31-28. I think that the Vikings proved that they could beat the upper echelon of teams. And I think that the Ravens have a little bit more to show me before I can go back to considering them one of the upper echelon teams in the NFL, like Detroit is, or like Green Bay was before losing to Carolina.
Yeah, I think that I'm right there with you. I think these are two teams that are clicking at the right time on both sides of the ball, and both teams are coming off of some really confidence-gaining wins. I've got the Ravens winning this one 31-30. They are coming off of a Thursday night game. They've got a little extra rest, a little extra prep. But either way, I think this is going to be a really great game, and I'm excited to see it.
Now, on to our next circled game. We have this one pinned not just the same way this week, but the same way we did the last time these two teams met. Tyler, tell me why this Rams-Niners game is going to be different than the last one.
To me, it's going to be different because this team, this roster, and this coaching staff, with the exception of Saquon Barkley in the playoffs last year, do not make the same mistake over and over again. They lost to the Niners, and there are numerous things that the Rams could have done to win that game. They could have not missed a field goal. Kyren Williams could have not fumbled on the 1-yard line. Matthew Stafford could have not missed an open receiver in the end zone. There are numerous things that could have happened, and simply I don't think the Rams are going to make those same mistakes again. This time it is in San Francisco. Not like that makes much of a difference, but this time it is actually in San Francisco's home field. But the reason I think it's going to go down a little bit differently is just because I think Matthew Stafford is playing a little bit better right now than he was 4 weeks ago. And that I think that this team is going to learn from that last game, and they're going to make the corrections, and they're going to do what needs to be done.
With as wide open as the NFC West is, with the exception of the Cardinals, how much do you think this game is going to impact divisional standings? Like, if the Niners sweep the Rams, that's big.
It's big if the Niners have the same record as the Rams, which most likely won't happen. But if the Niners do sweep the Rams, honestly, for them, I don't think it makes that much of a difference because they've got 5 division games left to play, and 2 they still haven't played Arizona, and they still haven't played Seattle. Normally they either sweep or get a 1-1 split with Seattle. Normally they sweep Arizona. if that happens, I think the Rams end up with either 3 or 4, maybe 5, if they can get this win this week, 5 divisional games. But if they get swept, it does make it a little bit nerve-wracking if the Niners are that team kind of competing neck and neck for the division title.
Well, and I said that you and I agree on how this game is going to go. I've got the Rams winning 28-27 in Santa Clara. I agree. I think they're not inclined to make the same mistakes repeatedly. And I honestly don't even think that not containing Saquon Barkley was a mistake. I think it was just a personnel issue. And this Rams team clearly is better on the personnel front than it was last year, which is really hard to do for one of the most talented rosters in the NFL. I've got 28-27.
I've got 27-24 also in the Rams' favor. And our last circled game this week, you're smiling because you already know we're talking about Philadelphia. We've got the Eagles, who are coming off of a bye, going into supposedly the other top dog in the NFC.
Yeah, and I think that Green Bay's status as one of the top teams in the NFC is a little bit of a misnomer. They took Detroit out back in Week 1, and I will absolutely give them flowers for that. Week 1 games and divisional games, so especially Week 1 divisional games, are always weird. I don't put a ton of stock into them. You have so much time to prepare. It's an opponent you're theoretically so familiar with. Week 1s can generally get tossed. And other than that, what is this Green Bay team's statement win?
I don't think they have one. They have statement losses.
They tied Dallas, and they lost to the Browns and the Panthers. That is not an upper echelon team in the NFL to me. And you compare that with Philadelphia. Now, Philadelphia, much, much easier division. Right? The NFC North is literally wide open. Any of those 4 teams could take it. The Eagles' magic number to win the division went down in a week they didn't play football. The Eagles need to win 5 of their last 9 games to win the division. And it doesn't matter who those wins or losses come against. It's in Green Bay. It's a night game in Green Bay. It's going to be packed Monday Night Football.
It's gonna be fucking cold. It's what it's gonna be.
Cold. I still have Philadelphia winning 35-17.
I've also got Philadelphia winning. I don't have that much confidence in the Packers right now as an elite team. If they can show a dominant performance or even a competitive performance against the Eagles, it'll certainly raise their stock in my eyes. But right now, I've got the Eagles winning at 34-20. I just think that they're the more dominant team right now.
Well, and coming off a bye week with the additions they made at the trade deadline, specifically Jalen Phillips to help the pass rush, Nolan Smith comes back. Brandon Graham comes back.
We'll see how good Brandon Graham is.
We'll see how good Brandon Graham is, but he's there, and he's a solid rotational piece, if nothing else. And that all helps Philadelphia. We'll see how Jair Alexander performs in potentially a revenge game. We'll see how the Eagles' secondary holds up against the Packers' passing attack, which unfortunately lost arguably its best piece in Tucker Kraft for the season. I think the Packers are going to be reeling from that for a while, and I think Philadelphia is going to continue the improvements they made leading up to the bye, and now they're going to take the personnel improvements that they've made, specifically on the defensive side of the ball, and blow the Packers to hell given the chance.
Yeah, we'll see. But we've both got the Eagles winning that one. And on to the rest of our games. And the first one is going to be our first Berlin game this season. We've got the Atlanta Falcons and Indianapolis Colts facing off in Germany. And I mean, the Falcons have been a little bit inconsistent so far this season. They've been competitive in a lot of games that people didn't think they were going to be competitive in, and they've lost a lot of games that they thought they were going to be dominant in. And the Colts had a little bit of a shocker. The Steelers upset them last week, and the Colts just had a really, really rough game on offense with 5 turnovers. And that's just not a winning formula in the NFL. I've got the Colts winning this one even still. I think they'd bounce back a little bit from last week, and I see them winning it 30-24.
Well, so my understanding of this game is the Falcons are really good defensively at one thing. And it's coughing. No, it's stopping passing offenses. Nobody has shredded this Falcons secondary this year. And I mean nobody. The best passing performance was Tua. 4 touchdown passes is a great performance, but he barely had 200 yards. Nobody has eviscerated this Falcons passing defense. Fortunately for the Colts, they are a team that thrives on the ground. Atlanta's run defense is a lot worse. And add in Sauce Gardner now, which is a huge trade. And the Colts know that they lost by 6, by a 1 score in a game they turned the ball over 5 times. They know that's not a winning formula, but they also know that they could have won that game anyway. Which I think, fucking hell, I think that's a very encouraging sign for Indianapolis. I've got them winning this one 28-24. I think the Falcons are a very weird football team who score in bunches, and I really don't know which version of the Falcons we're going to get.
Yeah, and on to our next game, which I can't imagine we'll spend too much time on, given that this is the garbage alleyway showdown. We've got the Browns and the New York Jets in New York. Both teams are coming off of a bye. Before the trade deadline, I had the Jets winning this one, but given that they just sold their 2 biggest defensive pieces, I've got the Browns winning this one, and it's just because of the Browns defense. This to me, this is a defensive game, and without the defense that the Jets had, now the defense that they have, I don't think that they're going to be able to out-limit the other teams, the Browns scoring, and I will say that I've got the Browns winning it 17-10.
That's perfectly reasonable. Both of these teams are coming off a bye. It's a Jets home game. I would avoid it if you were a Jets fan. I didn't write my prediction for this game until after the trade deadline. I was expecting Jermaine Johnson to be moved, Breece Hall to be moved. No, Quinton Williams, Sauce Gardner, gone. I've got the Browns winning this one 17-14. I think that this is going to be a very competitive game in the sense that by the scoreboard, it looks like anyone could win it. But in practice, it's 2 teams praying that they can score at least 3 times. I think that the Browns will walk out of MetLife with their easiest victory of the year in the game that is most clearly a tank bowl that we've covered so far this year. I think the Jets will succeed in the tanking part of it, and the Browns will be the Browns.
Yeah, and on to our next game, which a lot of people would have written off as another kind of garbage showdown. But right now it might be a little bit different. But we've got the Panthers going into the Bayou playing the New Orleans Saints. And we both have the Panthers winning this game. And the Panthers are coming off of not a dominant win in their last game. But I'm sorry. A win nonetheless against what a lot of people would consider to be a good team. They just beat the Green Bay Packers. And the game before that, they got absolutely abused by the Bills. But they're coming off of winning their 2 of their last 3 games, and they currently have a winning record. But anyway, bringing it back to Panthers Saints, the Panthers are, I think they're just a significantly better team right now. Not to say that, and we've talked about this a lot with the Saints this season, they have a good coaching staff.
They
I
are
think
multiple pieces away on both sides of the ball.
We like Kellen Moore at the head coaching spot. I think we both like Brandon Staley at the defensive coordinator spot.
As long as he's not a head coach.
But God, and they just sold Shaheed.
Not Olave though, which is both interesting and critical to me, because it says that this Saints coaching staff, this Saints regime, believes that Chris Olave is the kind of player you can build an offense around. And I'm inclined to agree. We've seen what the other Ohio State receivers can do. JSN has an offense built around him. Marvin Harrison Jr. needs a quarterback, but the offense is still built around him. Emeka Egbuka is going to have the offense in Tampa built around him. And I think Garrett Wilson has the offense built around him because he's the only guy with a pulse, or at least he was coming into this week. There is reason to be hopeful for the Saints in the future. Once they clear their books, once they get all that dead cap and all that shit out of their books.
I feel like they've been in dead cap for like 7 years.
It has been a remarkable run of fuck it, the salary cap isn't real from Saints management. That being said, doesn't help them currently. I've got the Panthers winning 35 to 14, at home against the New Orleans Saints, who currently hold the first overall pick. We will see, because the Saints and the Jets play each other later this year. We will see which one of those teams was more successful in selling at the deadline in order to procure the first overall pick this year.
Yeah, I've also got the Panthers winning it. I've got them winning it 28-20, and it's just because I do think that the Panthers are moving into being a good team. They still haven't shown me the level of dominance needed for me to say that they're going to go out and they're going to blow another team out of the water.
Oh,
but
I didn't mark a blowout of the week this week. I'm going to mark this as my blowout of the week.
I do have the Panthers winning it 28-20, and Coop just said he thinks that this one's going to be his blowout of the week, and his score is, again, 35-14. On to another game that could also be one of the best games this weekend. We've got the hot New England Patriots going into Tampa, and I want to hear your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, so it's the 7-2 Patriots going into the 6-2 Buccaneers. This is going to be a litmus test for both of these teams. I think the Patriots' schedule so far this year has been very easy. They lost to the Raiders in week 1, which sucks. But they turned around and they beat the Bills in Buffalo, and that's kind of where their season turned around. The Patriots have held the AFC East lead since then. And I think they know that if they don't win this week, in fact, I have it in our handy little number to win the division document, that the Patriots have to win. Where is he? Oh, the Patriots have to win 7 of their final 8 games, and they must beat Buffalo in that time span in order to win the division. A 14-win New England team doesn't seem terribly likely, especially a 14-win New England team that sweeps Buffalo. I just don't think it's going to happen. But you can't be dropping a game against Tampa as good as they are when the Bills have such an easy matchup this week, or a theoretically easy matchup this week. And I think Mike Vrabel knows that. I think Drake May knows that. And I've got the Patriots walking into Tampa Bay and escaping with a thrilling 28-24 game, or 28-24 win, where New England probably leads a game-winning drive, down by 3 at the end of it.
Yeah, this is the first game that we have disagreed on so far this week. I've got the Buccaneers winning it at home. They are coming off of a bye, and they've got that extra week of rest, extra week of prep for this New England team, and Igbuka is healthy. Godwin is there. Unfortunately, Evans, you really, really hate to see it. I love Mike Evans.
He'll be back for the playoffs.
I love the kind of player he is, but unfortunately, he will not hit 1,000 yards again for the first time in his NFL career. But the Buccaneers have two of their top three receivers. Igbuka has proved this season that he can be a number one receiver in the NFL. And when you have Chris Godwin allowed to play that number two, you can let him play in the slot, is where he can really shine. And I just don't think that as good as this Patriots team is, I don't think they're going to be able to hold back this Bucs offense from absolutely running. Because the way I see this game going down is I think Chris Godwin is going to eat. And I think Chris Godwin's going to eat because Igbuka's going to have Christian Gonzalez on him. But unfortunately, Christian Gonzalez can only cover one. So it'll be whoever he's not guarding is probably going to be the one end up getting the ball. But I've got the Buccaneers winning this one in an absolute shootout, 34-33.
See, I think Tampa's a very, very funny team because of all of the teams currently in front of their division in the NFL. Tampa has the second lowest point differential, behind only Pittsburgh.
I'm pretty sure it's because they have a lot of one-score wins.
Not just a lot of one-score wins, a lot of less than 3-point wins, which makes your score incredibly plausible. I could very easily see this being decided by a last-second field goal, one way or another, and it really wouldn't surprise me. But moving on to a game that I kind of foreshadowed while we were talking about the Patriots, we got Bills at Dolphins. The Dolphins are coming off a mini-bye where they got obliterated by Baltimore. And tragically for Miami, they don't even get an easier opponent to get right against. They have Buffalo. It is in Miami, so the weather will at least be nice for Buffalo. I have the Bills winning this one 31-24, and I think relatively uncontroversial fashion. I was wrong when I said Mike McDaniel would get fired, but someone got fired in Miami. Their general manager was canned after they lost to the Ravens. And I think without Jalen Phillips, the Dolphins' pass rush, which was already piss poor, just gets a lot worse. And I think the Bills are going to take advantage of that and let Josh Allen do his thing, which is why the relatively low score of 31-24 seems possible, because I think Allen's going to have a lot of time in the pocket, and that's going to increase the length of the Bills' offensive drives.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, without Jalen Phillips, it's Chop Robinson and
Bradley Chubb.
I thought Bradley Chubb was still dead. Not
and
dead.
I think Matt Judon.
Not dead, just hurt.
Remember when Matt Judon had that one great season with the Patriots, and everyone thought he was going to be the second coming?
I do, but yeah, I've got Bills winning this one, 27-21 in Miami. Even though it's at home, it's just the Josh Allen, Sean McDermott Bills kind of own Miami, and I don't see that changing this week.
On to Giants-Bears, which I think a couple weeks ago would have been a more interesting matchup, and I'm kind of upset that we're not going to get the peak version of this matchup, because I think Bears team on the rise versus Giants team on the rise is, in theory, a very fun game to watch. And in practice, the Giants offense has looked lifeless without Cam Scatterboo, which is heartbreaking.
I mean, it's difficult to say. I'm not going to say lifeless, because they did still put up 20 points without Cam Scatterboo. I mean, Jackson Dart is good. I think that even though we both got the Bears winning this one, I honestly think that this could be a trap game for the Chicago Bears. With that being said, right now the Bears are looking good. They are still yet to show me consistency.
Yeah.
Which is because they 2 weeks ago, they lost to the Tyler Huntley-led Ravens. Then they got 30 points put up on them by the Tyler Huntley-led Ravens. With that being said, I think that the Giants right now are probably struggling a little bit more. They didn't make any huge splash moves during the trade deadline.
Neither trading for nor trading away.
Nor trading away, no kind of big splash moves. But I think the Bears are a little bit better right now, and I've got them winning at home 27-24, but I think this very easily could go the other way.
Yeah, and the Bears, yes, they lost to the Tyler Huntley Ravens. That says more about the Ravens' defense than it does the Bears' offense to me, and also more about the Bears' defense than the Ravens' offense. The Giants' defense is not going to be able to contain Caleb Williams in the same way the Ravens' defense could. I think if the Giants have one advantage over the Bears, it's their defensive line. They have the league leader in sacks currently in Brian Burns, an uber-talented rookie in Abdul Carter. Dexter Lawrence is still great. Kayvon Thibodeau is producing. My problem is Shane Bowen, the Giants' defensive coordinator, is awful at scheming a defense to be complementary. He frequently leaves his DBs out there to die. And against a team with DJ Moore, who did not get moved, I was a little surprised by that. Roma Dunze, Luther Burden, Olamide Zaccheaus, Colston Loveland, apparently, and Cole Kmet. I think the Bears are just going to be able to overwhelm the Giants' defense. I think that I might not be giving enough credit to the Giants' offense, especially against a battered Bears defense, but I have 35-18 in favor of the Bears. At home, they advance to 6-3. They keep themselves in contention for the division for now. They still have 2 games against Green Bay coming up on their schedule. The NFC North is wide open, and I have no fucking clue what's going to happen. But what I do know is the Bears' very early loss to Minnesota is going to come back to bite them.
Yeah, on to our next one. We've got a matchup in the AFC South between a team that has a chance at the division and between a team that probably doesn't have a chance at the division. We've got the Jaguars going into Houston. We've got this game marked a little bit differently. For the first time, I'm picking the Jaguars, and you're not.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling, but I do think the Texans have found something. I'm not sure what it is yet, but they've found something that is working for them. They beat San Francisco. They won again last week. And now you get a Jaguars team that just went toe-to-toe with the Raiders.
The Jaguars are a weird NFL team. I mean,
Jaguars are a weird NFL team, always have been. I've got the Texans taking this one 24-21. I think whatever they've found, they are going to actually, what it really boils down to is the Texans' defense is great and the Jaguars' offense is not. And the Jaguars' defense is really good, but whatever the Texans have found offensively that's been working, that's been keeping C.J. Stroud clean these past couple of weeks, they just have to keep doing it.
I mean, yeah, I can absolutely see your point about them finding something, although I don't think over their better performances over the last couple of weeks have been against great pass rushes or great opponents. The Jaguars, on the other hand, they're no slouch of a pass rush team. They're absolutely no slouch of a defense. And I don't think that the Texans' streak is going to continue this week. I do think that the Jaguars right now are a little bit better, and I do think that this week they probably will have a good offensive game, and I've got them winning it 29-24 in Houston.
It's very interesting that the first time we disagree on the Jaguars pick, and you're picking the Jaguars, is against a team that has been in the cellar of the AFC South this year in the Houston Texans. I think if we told someone that in the preseason, they would have accepted it. I think if we told someone that 4 weeks ago, they would have looked at me like I was crazy. And I think this game really could go either way based on the way these two teams have been playing recently.
Yeah.
On to a very fun divisional matchup, also out in the NFC West, actually, our second NFC West divisional matchup. And the second time these teams are meeting, Cardinals, Seahawks. We can keep this brief, I think.
Seahawks are hot. Cardinals aren't. We both see the Seahawks having a dominant offensive performance this game. The Cardinals going with Jacoby Brissett at starter over Kyler Murray is interesting. Kyler Murray is staying on the sideline for this week. Rightfully so. I think Jacoby Brissett has shown over the last couple of weeks that he is deserving of another chance right now.
I mean, he scored 3 touchdowns against it's the Dallas defense, but he scored 3 touchdowns against them.
And he has played 2 clean games of football, making good decisions. So I can completely see why they're keeping Murray on the sideline for now. I don't think that'll continue for the rest of the season, but I can see why now. But either way, Seahawks are really hot right now. Their offense is absolutely explosive, and I see them winning this divisional game in Seattle 34-24.
Yeah, the Seahawks were the recipients of Rashid Shaheed, which means Clint Kubiak gets his guy back.
That's terrifying.
And now, even without Cooper Kupp potentially for a little bit, which is kind of what that trade signals to me, JSN, Torrey Horton, who just scored 2 touchdowns, one of the great waiver wire pickups of all time for me. I had Cooper Kupp in my paid league. I had Cooper Kupp slated to start, and I needed someone from that game, or I guess the Monday night game. And I was like, Torrey Horton's been all right this year. I'll give him a shot. Ended up pretty much single-handedly winning me my matchup. I have won 4 in a row in that league after starting 0-5. So I'm battling my way back into it.
In the league we're both in, I started at 0-3, and I've won 6 in a row now to advance to 6-3, mostly because of Jonathan Taylor single-handedly carrying my team. Last week it was Drake London, who was really close to being my pick for NFC Player of the Week. He had 3 touchdowns, so shout out to him. But anyway, a little bit of fantasy talk. Cardinal Seahawks, I've got 34-24.
I've got 31-21. We agree the Seahawks are a great football team, and the Cardinals are not.
On to what would have been an absolute thriller if we were talking about this in week 2. We've got Lions, Commanders, and right now the Commanders are kind of just spiraling. Absolutely gruesome. Jaden Daniels' injury last week. And we've talked about this, and I think at this point you all can understand how we feel about bad injuries, is that you just hate to see them to any player.
Well, and especially someone like Jaden Daniels. He's such an exciting young player. The good news is it was not his throwing arm.
Yeah.
So while he is certainly not fit to play anytime soon and should be out for the rest of the season, even if he can come back, they should leave him out for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
It sucks. I hate that we are going to play the Commanders twice, and I'm not going to get to see Jaden Daniels in either one of them.
Yeah. It really does suck, but Jaden Daniels, we are wishing you well, and we hope you a healthy and as speedy as realistic recovery. But back to, we've got Lions, Commanders. Lions right now are playing really well. The Commanders right now are not playing well, and I think this is another one that we can keep kind of brief. I've got Lions winning it 30-17 in Washington.
Yeah, I've got a wider disparity only because these two teams met in the divisional round last year. And the Lions were down so many key pieces defensively.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't change the fact that Jared Goff launched like 20,000 turnovers in that game. But Dan Campbell, he doesn't care who the starting quarterback is or who any of the personnel players are. This is the next time he's getting a team that embarrassed his squad. He's going to take it personally, and he's not gonna show them any mercy. I've got 42-14. The Lions are absolutely capable of dropping 40 on anybody, especially a team as bad as the Commanders. And the Commanders, led by Marcus Mariota, I don't think are going to be able to keep up.
Yeah, and on to what I believe is the Sunday night primetime game, finishing off the Sunday games. We've got the Steelers going into the Chargers. And coming into if we were having this conversation a week ago, I know I would have definitely picked differently, but the Steelers had a statement win against the Indianapolis Colts last week with the upset. And they're playing against another team that previously has shown a lot of dominance on the ground, although lately, these past couple of weeks, Justin Herbert has been firing off. But even with Justin Herbert's hot streak, I do have the Steelers winning it 30-24. I think this is going to be a really good primetime game.
Yeah, I wish I saw it because last week if this game were happening last week, I would have picked differently as well. Not necessarily because the Steelers fired off last week. That's not why I have them winning this week. It's the Joe Alt injury. Yeah. And the Steelers defense, we have been very critical of the Steelers defense. It had not been good at all this season. There had been no individual performance they could hang their hat on. And then they went and they properly blew out the Colts. And that is, at least defensively, they properly blew out the Colts. 5 turnovers forced. That's super encouraging. The edge rushers finally started playing to their potential, TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith. And now those two guys get a team that doesn't have any fucking tackles. Rashawn Slater's down for the year. Joe Alt's down for the year. I wish I could believe that this was going to be a competitive game, but I just can't. I've got the Steelers winning 28-10, and I think that Justin Herbert might put up 400 yards, 2 picks, and a touchdown pass in a heartbreaking loss.
I don't see it going that way, but we both have the Steelers winning it, and we will see what happens on Sunday night. And on to that wraps it up for this week's games. Very quickly, we're going to talk about next Thursday's game. We've got the Jets going into Foxborough playing the New England Patriots, and I think that right now this is probably going to be my blowout of next week's games. Just because the Patriots, if they continue to be a dominant team, I mean, you're playing a team that just lost both their 2 best defensive players, and you're hot. I've got them winning 38-10. I don't really know what else there's to say. Drake May's playing well. The offense is really firing. The receiving room looks like anybody could have a good game, and the defense is playing good football. Mike Vrabel and the Patriots are absolutely hot, and I think they're going to dominate their NFC East opponent.
Well, and it's really incredibly difficult to project divisional games unless the Jets and that team from New England are involved. I've got the Patriots winning 35-14, and I don't think that should be particularly controversial. It's just going to be tough for the Jets for the rest of the year. And Jets fans, I would really just hunker down and get ready for it because it's not going to be pretty.
But you guys will have 3 first-rounders next year. You've got 2 this upcoming season, plus a second rounder. You guys have a lot that you can rebuild with, but right now you're just not a great team and are probably going to get blown out by the rising Patriots. Our final note for this week is our prediction records from last week. Last week, Coop, you went 10-4. Last week, I went 9-5. That brings our yearly overall records to Coop at 51-35, and I have a slight 1-game lead with 52-34.
And I think we had our most disagreements of the year this week. I think we disagreed on 3 or 4 of the outcomes this week. So I think that there's a real chance for either one of us to make up or lose some ground.
Yeah.
But that all being said, thank you very much for watching. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, everything that's in the description down below. Shout out to our executive producer and graphics specialist, Holt Hendershot, for all of the work that he puts into the graphical overlays and the thumbnails. And we will catch you next week.